Hey, Pastor Josh here. We're reading Mark chapter 5, verses 1 through 20. Jesus has just crossed over the Sea of Galilee. He has calmed the storm, and now he is encountering a man with a demon, and actually not just a demon, but many demons, many unclean spirits is how this particular story goes. So, chapter 5, verse 1, they came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gerasenes. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. Here you see the man with an unclean spirit coming. And notice he was living in the tombs. He came to him out of the tombs. He was living among the dead. That is where his home was. He lived among the tombs. As you can imagine, he was a bit of an outcast to the people that lived in the area. And no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. Now, the fact that they were trying to bind him probably means that he was causing a bit of trouble, that he was probably hurting people, he was probably stealing and doing all kinds of evil things. Don't know exactly what he was doing, but it was bad enough that they attempted to bind him. And they could not bind him anymore. Apparently they had tried, and maybe it worked for a day or two, but then he was able to break it. They couldn't even use a chain, not even a chain. For he had often been, so it's not just a one time or two times, this was a regular thing that the man would be arrested and attempted to be tied up. For he had often been bound with shackles and chains, but he wrenched the chains apart and broke the shackles in pieces. So you see the supernatural strength of this man who has these demons, these unclean spirits that are within him, that are controlling him, that are working in his midst. No one had the strength to subdue him, causing all of this trouble, and they could not do anything with him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always crying, always, night and day, all the time, yelling, screaming, crying out, and cutting himself with stones. Just imagine the inner turmoil that this man was experiencing, being possessed with all of these unclean spirits, night and day, screaming out and experiencing such overwhelming pain that he's even mutilating himself. He's cutting himself and doing great harm to his own body. But then Jesus crosses the Sea of Galilee and he comes to town. He comes to the area where this man is living. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him. Why? Why is it that he ran down before him? He cried out with a loud voice. He said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." So the man comes down and falls to Jesus's right before Jesus's feet and is begging him, "Do not torment me, do not hurt me." And why was he saying that? Notice what Jesus was apparently saying to him in verse 8. Jesus, was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." So Jesus would have crossed the sea. Remember, there's that great storm that he calmed. He crosses over, and apparently he either sees the man and is yelling at the man and saying, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." Perhaps they heard him screaming from afar. Who knows exactly how that encounter happened, but Jesus first initiated, "Come out of the man," and then the man then comes running to Jesus, and it then ends up begging Jesus to "do not torment me." And Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" This is where we find out that the man had many unclean spirits. He had many demons. He replied, "My name is Legion," which would be a large amount of soldiers, would be what a legion is. He says, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And I think we would guess that there was probably 2,000, because we see down here that the demons were cast into 2,000 pigs. So he says, "My name is Legion, for we are many," and he begged him earnestly, "Please do not send them out of the country." Now it's interesting here because we've had some pronoun shifts, is that a lot we've been having just singular he, "What is your name?" And then he was saying to him, that's Jesus saying to him, but the man comes and says, "What do you have to do with me?" So you see all this singular, singular, singular. He says, "My name," singular, "is Legion, for we are many." he begged him singular not to send him out of the country. Now a great herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside, and they. So you see the shift from the man speaking to the demon speaking, clearly being themselves talking to Jesus. Now this whole business of demon possession and unclean spirits working on people would be something that is definitely left to the description of Scripture. There is not a necessary. There would be a science behind it, I suppose, but it's a lot of that is not for us to know how this works. But rather than the man who's being tormented by the spirit speaking to Jesus, it is now the demons themselves begging Jesus, "Send us to the pigs. Let us enter them." So he gave them permission. Interesting that Jesus gave them permission to do that. That shows that he has complete authority. He tells them what to do. Even the unclean spirits, the demons, Satan himself, they do not have anything on Jesus. Jesus is the ultimate king, and he tells them what to do. So he gave them permission. And the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs, which we'll find out are 2,000. And the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the sea. So you see that ultimately these demons are always about destruction. The man was in deep torment. It's interesting that the man comes to Jesus and says, "Do not torment me, Jesus," but he was being tormented already by these unclean spirits, and now as they go into the pigs, they cause turmoil even in these animals. They run off the bank and drown in the sea. It's important, too, that it was pigs because Jews would not consider pigs to be clean animals at well. It would be a fit host for a demon in the Jewish mindset. And also we have to be asking ourselves, why on earth were they even raising pigs to begin with in the northern region of Israel? Because they were forbidden, according to Jewish customs and the Mosaic law, they were forbidden to even eat pigs at all. So there the pigs go down, they drown, and think by implication, also the demons themselves suffering as well. The herdsmen fled and told it in the city. They saw what all happened, and they told it in the country. So they went around telling everybody what had happened, and people came to see what it was that had happened. And they came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man, the one who had the legion, sitting there, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. They knew this man. They knew how they had tied him up. They knew how he broke the chains. And now they see him in his right mind, sitting quietly before Jesus. What this town is seeing is that this is a man that has great power. This must not just be a man. He must be from heaven. He must be from above. The one who had the legion. This is an attitude we need to adopt if we do not have it. That God has power over everything. There is not a spot. There is not a torment. There is not a torture that you may be experiencing within your soul. Something that has you chained up that God does not have power over. That Jesus does not have power over. That Jesus cannot free you from. Just a great attitude to have. These people saw that Jesus had power over this man, and they were afraid. They were fearful of the great power that Jesus must have had. And those who had seen it described to them what had happened to the demon-possessed man to the pigs. They're saying, "Hey, you should have seen it. He told them to come out. He asked them what their name was. He said it was Legion. They begged, please don't send us far away. Just send us into the pigs." And he allowed it, and then the pigs went running off. You should have saw it. Just explaining what had happened. And they began to beg Jesus to depart from their region. So sad. I think that's a sin to confess. They are begging Jesus to leave them. Don't come into my life. Don't have any authority over us. You are too powerful. You're too great. Please leave. And may we not have that attitude in ourselves. May we not be doing that same thing. And I wonder, has there been times that we have said, "Jesus, please don't be a part of my life. Jesus, please I don't want your law to apply to this portion of my life. I kind of like doing it my way, and I realize that that if I do it your way, it's going to cause me trouble. I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to have as much fun. Just begging Jesus to leave that portion of your life. If that's you, just confess that to Jesus right now. Confess that to God. Tell him you're sorry and that you want him to be a part of that. You want him to be a part of that part of your life. You want him to be your boss. You want him to be in control of who you are. So they began to beg Jesus to depart from the region. And as he was getting into the boat, very interesting, Jesus obeyed. Jesus listened. He said, if you don't want me around, we'll get out of here. The man who had been possessed with demons begged him that he might be with him. Oh, he realized the power of Jesus, and he realized that Jesus was greater than those demons and unclean spirits that were with him. And he said, Jesus, I want to be with you. And he did not permit him. So Jesus said, no. I don't want you to go with me because you've got a job to do. You've got a different job to do. But said to him, listen to this command. Jesus tells the man who had been possessed by this legion of demons, he says, go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. Go home and tell people what I've done. Tell them about who I am. Tell them about Jesus. And is that not a command we need to have? Why don't you go and tell people what Jesus has done for you? And maybe you're watching this and you're reading this and you're saying, Jesus has not done anything for me. He's not helped me one bit. I challenge you. Maybe you are back up here in this little red section. Maybe you're begging Jesus to depart from a particular area of your life. Perhaps you're not allowing yourself to be submissive to Jesus. You're not spending time seeking after him. You need to experience the great power of Jesus in your life. And then we need to go and tell people what Jesus has done for us. Verse 20, and he went away, Jesus did, and he went away, the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons, went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis. That means 10 cities. Polis is the word for city. Deca, you know that a decagon would be a 10-sided figure. So 10 cities, it would be a region of 10 cities. He goes and proclaims it in the whole region. He begins to tell them what Jesus had done for them, and everyone did what? They marveled. That's what people will do when you tell them what Jesus has done for you. So why don't you do that? Why don't you share with folks? Don't be selfish with the great relationship you have with God. Don't be selfish with all the great things Jesus has done for you. Share it with everyone around you. I pray that's been a blessing to you, and I'll see y'all in the next video.